Coming up on Risers and Fallers, Ian Hartitz is back for the world-famous fantasy football dark thoughts. We're going to get to them all right here on Player Profiler. Ian, is there a darker thought than the idea of Isaiah Pacheco missing time with a sprained MCL?
While Sione Vakai has a broken nose/eye injury going on. Dude, they just lost their center as well? All the key pieces in this Detroit Lions offense are falling apart, Chuck.
What is going on in the Midwest? I feel like the Bears, the Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings, they've always got huge upper bodies and small. They're missing leg day, and something's going on up there. You're closer to that than I am. You're about a couple hours north of me. Is that an epidemic? Is it happening to the civilians as well, or is it just the gladiators?
We had we have multiple stretching band orbital incidents in 12 months in the Midwest with Anthony Richardson also joining that group. I don't know, man. I like to think we're built different up here. Big Ten's the class of college football, as we all know at this point. That's just secondary conference down south. Can't even remember their names. So whatever it is, man. Yeah, they had a good run, but now that we can all pay people, it's not the same, right?
Yes. The favorite thing I saw this offseason, and it might have been an old tweet, but I saw it for the first time this offseason, was SEC boosters have car dealerships and Big Ten boosters own car manufacturers. I was like, okay, yeah, that checks out.
I will say, again, as just I lived in Columbus, Ohio my whole life. I live here now, definitely a Buckeye homer. I was loving it. And then all of a sudden I found out how many freaking billionaires attended Indiana at some point. Yeah, and I'm like, wait, hold on. This has gone too far. Let's chill out on this.
Yeah, we're not trying to get everybody in, on the action. Just a few key core cog programs. Oh God. All right. So Ian, today we're doing dark thoughts. We've done this a couple times here. The very first dark thought we had, I went back and watched our first episode, was that maybe Saquon Barkley is washed and then he rushed for 2,000 yards immediately. So we were looking pretty good there. I went a little all over
funny
the
though,
place
Chuck,
with
real
this
quick.
one.
With the Saquon thing, we'll see this happen too, where obviously could not have been more wrong in 2024. And then I'm sure everything we said about Saquon just applied to what happened in 2025. So just, I don't like when fantasy analysts take a blatantly wrong take and they're never wrong, just early. But you know what, Chuck? I don't think we were wrong. I think we're just early.
No, we were all brakes, no gas. And sometimes that's you can't have all gas, no brakes all the time. We have to be able to humble and endear ourselves. I think that's one of the things you and I are best at, is endearing ourselves to the audience and everyone from the casual fantasy sports player to the guy that spends all day on true media trying to figure out and find edges. And we're going to try to appeal to all of those guys today as well.
Hell yeah, bro.
So we've got dark thoughts. Do you want me? You know what? Usually I let the guest lead off, but I tailor-made one for you. This is a custom designed take, basically with your birthstone in it.
What if Greg Dortch is the real starting slot in Detroit?
That actually would have been. So you're a pro, and that's why you're at RotoWire right now. I went with, is it possible that the bells in the city of Foxborough have rung demanding a sacrifice, but the residents of the town, including the Patriots, have not made it yet, and therefore the curse has not been lifted? We've got the Super Bowl mogging, Drake May being labeled as a schedule, the A.J. Brown drama, and now he's got a hurt thumb, Robert Kraft still getting twisted off at spas, Brady turning into the real-life version of the chive, Bill Belichick running what's basically a sex pit at UNC, and then their former GM, Mike Lombardi, getting fired from the sex pit for being too gross. So I guess I just wonder, I look at all these ADPs, and we've got Brown in the second round, Henderson in the fourth, May going on average as a QB3, Stevenson a top tier 1B Robin, and then Dobbs kind of the same thing a little bit later. If this is going to be the year from hell, is it just a pass? And if they do good for them. But am I really getting a lot? How are you on the Patriots? Is this a cursed year? Are you drafting a lot of them? How dark is my thought?
First of all, Widow's Bay, maybe the best show I've seen this year. Just fantastic from start to finish. So A+ reference there. Literally the second bullet I had down was maybe we should be drafting the entire Patriots offense, Chuck. So I think we're going a little bit battling here. Look, here's where I'm at, because what you said makes sense in the whole Drake May regression thing. Guess what, guys? He's not going to lead the NFL in completion rate and yards per attempt, and I get it. But bigger picture, it's like this dude in year 2 could have won the MVP. I know Matthew Stafford got it, but he was certainly on pace to. Playoffs weren't great, faced some tough defenses. Didn't play well. I get it. But if you could just go back to the Super Bowl time, mid-February, and say, what does this Patriots offense need? We want more reinforcements on the offensive line. They did that.
Yep.
And let's get some like actual good receivers in there. Romeo Dobbs as your 2 is cool. AJ Brown as your 1, bro. Last year, we talk about AJ Brown like he finished wide receiver 30 like Justin Jefferson. He was wide receiver 11 PPR points per game, even as bad as everything was. I do laugh where they're like, hey, he dislocated his thumb, not a big deal. Return to practice. Happens all the time. The line of scrimmage. Like maybe a little more of a big deal for someone who has to, catch the football.
Yeah.
Out there. But Josh McDaniels seems like a somewhat complicated system. Like I do just look at it and say, what if the Patriots offense is just a freaking top 6 scoring unit where they regress a little bit in terms of dominating guys, but because of that, we actually have more back and forth kind of game script going. So the actual volume increases. Less of these 35-3 blowouts, more back and forth games. So I haven't been drafting a ton of them. I got AJ Brown up there. I got him, I think, wide receiver 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
You wonder, man, when it's AJB versus Jettas, like why even mess around with the Kyler Murray, JJ McCarthy competition?
That's a great question. Not a lot of people talk about like the Justin Jefferson draft pick relies on betting Kyler Murray plays 17, 15, 13 games to kind of pay that off, because then you're right back to where you were at square one. So that one makes me a little nervous. But you're right. I mean, like an offense like this Patriots thing, like I brought up the curse because they would basically have to be cursed for this team to fail, because unlike like your Bo Nixes or like your Sam Darnolds or like some of those, like even like the Mac Jones year, like the foundation is really strong and they added to that, as opposed to like, let's run it back and hope we're as good, kind of like the Jaguars are doing this year, kind of like the Cardinals are doing this year, which obviously all those teams have different aspirations, but you just can't find a way that they're going to regress that makes sense, I think, unless the level of competition that they're facing every week is as good as it was in the playoffs. But guess what? They won all those playoff games except for the last one. So I'm with you on that one. And this is why it's a dark thought for me. I don't like to have these thoughts. I have to talk to you about them and get them out. And the chat says, hey, Ian, good luck with Arthur Smith this year. Now a Buckeye.
I'm trying to have a good time. It's Monday. You're throwing Arthur Smith shit at me on a Monday?
He wants it. And Kyle Williams to the moon. Arthur Smith, just the guy who's achieved more and yet is recognized as a failure. About the ratio is off about as much as it is for any offensive coordinator I've ever seen.
Can we talk about Arthur Smith for a second here?
Please. This is all I want.
He gets the most, far more than anyone, out of freaking like 7th or 8th year Ryan Tannehill. We're talking like league leading efficiency metrics in those Titans offenses. AJ Brown and Henry were the man. I get it. Then he goes to Atlanta, where he deals with Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. Yeah, he only gave Bijan Robinson like 300 combined carries and targets his first year. He couldn't get banged up Kyle Pitts going. Oh my God, us fantasy nerds are complaining about Drake London having a 80% route rate instead of a 93% route rate. And then he goes to Pittsburgh with old man Aaron Rodgers there and somehow gets like a 16th ranked scoring offense. They were throwing the ball to Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Adam Thielen in freaking crunch time last year. So these are the things you have to tell myself as a very, very skeptical Ohio State fan. But I don't know, Chuck. I feel like of all the freaking coordinators out there, like we can look at the Matt Nagy's, we can look at the Brian Callahans of the world and just be like, that guy sucks. All right. With Arthur Smith, like his teams consistently, I think, overachieve. It's just like he rotates guys a little more than we prefer. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, he's very much like, and it's funny, you guys are used to like perceived washed up NFL offensive coaches coming to Ohio State and fucking dominating. Like that's kind of just what they do, because they bring these advanced schemes and these run concepts. I mean, like this is almost like Greg Roman. Like for as much as a punchline as Greg Roman is, literally never had a below average rushing attack in his entire NFL career. Like these guys can do one thing really well. I brought this picture up because like that's the most anyone has ever looked like an NFL coach. This is what NFL coaches looked like for 60 years until we got these like twink Mike McDaniel types who I love, don't get me wrong, but this is what it was forever. And I didn't think on Monday I'd be looking at this face. Look at how bright-eyed and bushy-tailed he is right there. The life had not been quite beaten out of him yet. And he's got the NFL hat on.
It's a nice mustache too. I can't grow a mustache. I wish I could. I got to do the whole beard to make up for it, man. It's a little bit embarrassing, to be honest.
Oh God, I love it. All right. That's just premium start to the show. We were able to rope in Robert Kraft and Arthur Smith into the same segment. So what do you got for us for your first dark thought?
I think this Colts offense could just be horrendous. Like bottom
Yep,
five
there it is.
scoring unit, man. Shane Steichen, all due respect. That's all I got. Daniel Jones, fun first 10 weeks. Amazing first 10 weeks. I'll give him that. December Achilles, and we're just like, oh yeah, it's fine. He's ready to go for week 1. No worries here. We're going to see the Daniel Jones that we saw for 10 weeks of last year. The guy who we saw the first 6 years of his career, he's gone, Chuck. Don't even worry about the last time Daniel Jones had a lower body injury and tried to come back, the next year. This is totally different. It's 2026. Achilles is nothing. It's like, a paper cut these days. Okay. Michael Pittman. Somehow, I looked this up, man. It's a fact. 5th most receptions in franchise history, Michael Pittman.
Let's go.
So he had a good career there. Just didn't replace him. All right. We brought in Nick Westbrook-Akini, 2024 superstar, Nick Westbrook-Akini. Whatever. You paid Alec Pierce 9 figures to go ahead and be your guy. He hasn't been able to practice this entire offseason because he had ankle surgery in April after they tried to recover and it didn't freaking work. So we're hoping he's going to be back. This is a franchise, by the way, lest we forget, maybe not the model of consistency in the NFL. They just brought back a literal grandpa in the second half, hired Jeff Saturday mid-season a few years ago. I don't have the most faith in this organization. Your number 1 quarterback is likely to be more immobile without as big of an arm. You lost your primary intermediate receiver. Your field stretching receiver hasn't had time to learn a new, bigger role in the offense, even if that's possible. And he could be a step slow. Like, Chuck, I'm not going to pretend like I'm the smartest X's nose guy in the world. If I'm playing that team in Madden, I'm putting 9 dudes in the box every single play. And I'm saying Jonathan Taylor, Josh Downs, and, Tyler Warren, good luck beating us. Sure. We're going to load up exactly where you guys are going to do it. Make Daniel Jones throw the ball deep to Ashton freaking Doolin out here. And Robbie Gould? Like they sent the tweet with Josh Downs out, like the top 3 wide receivers, man. It was horrendous. Maybe they signed 34-year-old Keenan Allen. I don't think that's moving the needle either, bro. So, again, respect to Shane Steichen. They were really good in the first half of last year, but look what happened in the second half last year. And I think it's possible that without Pittman, with a hobbled Alec Pierce, and with a hobbled Daniel Jones, that, the Colts probably look a little bit more like they did in the second half as opposed to the first half.
Yeah, and this has kind of been like the Colts' MO, even going back to like the Frank Reich days, where like they make it so much harder on themselves than it needs to be, whether it's like a Carson Wentz or an old Phillip Rivers or Jacoby Brissett or Sam Ellinger. I mean, I went down the list of guys that all these coaches have been like, I want this guy to be my quarterback for this game. I'm like, oh, that's really who I trust. And the Daniel Joe thing is so apropos because it's like the only time ever, if you just found a casual who was like, and you explained Daniel Jones' career and you'd been like, how many games do you think this team is projected to win in 2026? Their head would explode. It doesn't make any sense. I've got one counter argument here. And it's that the greatest owner in the NFL does follow me on Twitter. She followed me this summer. So I do have to give my undying, unwavering support to her. But, dude, you're so right. The circumstances are gross. Every report about Josh Downs is like they've replaced all of his internal organs with robotic pieces so that, like, he can stay on the field longer. Like, it's all kinds of stuff like that. The ability to, like, how much effort they have to put in to get everybody going, and then the guy they paid the most money to is still not practicing. It is like, it's such a, the wheels are falling off at some point. It's been coming for a long time for this organization. This feels like the year of all years. Right after Jonathan Taylor gets paid, the quarterback's coming out, their best players still young. It's just, it's I could see it going so wrong. And
they
so
sent
dark.
the 1st round picks for Sauce Gardner. Like, they didn't even get a chance to really retool the offense or add any pieces there. It's just, man, I'm not really seeing this here. And honestly, and accordingly, it really worries me about Jonathan Taylor, bro. Like, it's tough to rank him too low and everything, but just with the way I can see the offense going, we've seen running backs be fine in bad offenses, but it doesn't happen all that often. 14 running backs have been top 12 in PPR per game in a bottom 10 offense over the last decade. That's 1.4 per year. I'm pretty sure Bijan Robinson's going to get there.
What a stat.
Okay. Maybe JT's there, maybe Genty, maybe Brees, maybe Jeremiah, but there are a lot of guys you got to worry with it. Like, just Chuck, I think even if you guys disagree with me, I think you can see that concern with Jonathan Taylor.
Of course.
I have to draft Chase Brown. I don't have questions for Chase Brown. It's like, I don't think he's the best running back in the league, but we just saw last year, Jonathan Taylor might have been the best running back in the league in the first 10 weeks. And then, to no fault of his own, he was scoring less than Tony freaking Pollard in the last 2 months of the season.
It's like, I'm not going to throw shade on a guy that is a fantasy football content creator, but at no point did I ever think Austin Eckler was one of the 5 best running backs in the league, but he sure as shit was one of the 5 best fantasy football assets you could have. And that's how I feel about Chase Brown. Same number, a lot of similarities there. But I love what you're saying. And I had a dark thought a month ago, and I've tweeted it a couple of times, and nobody likes it. So I'm glad I'm finally able to say on the show. If Daniel Jones isn't 100% of who he was for the first 10 weeks of last season, I don't think I want anybody on this team. It's very, very much the case. And I'm finding it hard to believe he's going to be.
And Josh Downs, all right, he's going wide receiver 40 or whatever. Chill out. Take him, fine. But even then, dude, I got Jaden Reed ahead of him. I just think there's better dudes.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin, like, come on.
Yes. That tone that you just used was like the perfect way to encapsulate this. Like, Josh Downs, look, I know. It's like when you're in trouble with the wife and you're like, I know. And you deserve it, but you know.
Dude, he's 5'8", 170. All right. I don't know that playing on the outside, even if they have to, because they don't have any other actually decent wide receivers, it might not go that brilliantly, man.
No, it's like, I'm like telling my wife, like, hey, I'm going to build a deck. And she's like, well, can you build a deck? I'm like, I'm going to try. I'm going to try. I've got a subscription to Claude. I don't know how much that's going to come in handy, but that's how it does feel with a lot of those. Oh, that's just such a banger too. We're just crushing these AFC former flagpoles. Tough times for the Patriots and the Colts, but it's okay. Let's talk about a team that has never had a good time. My dark thought number 2 is the Browns offense is looking at me like a 2 a.m. Twin City hooker. And for the price, I think I can live with the parts. This one is tough because year after year, month after month, sometimes week after week, this team is literally funding my Twitter ad sharing revenue. Like, they're such easy content clicks. Dane Cook used to have this bit about a friend in the group that nobody liked. Like, you just keep them around to hate their guts. And that's been Cleveland and the NFL. But the more I look at them, got Jodkins going around the 4-5 turn, Concepcion going around the 12th with household names like Xavier Worthy and Khalil Shakir, Woody Marks. He's someone who's really growing on me as I look at like all the success Todd Monken has had with talented wide receivers at every stop he's been at. And then Denzel Boston is getting compared to Mike Evans, LeBron, and Josh Gordon. He's basically the last pick of your draft. Harold Fannin, we don't even need to talk about. We know how good he is, but he oscillates between, like, depending on who you're drafting with, he could be like the tight end 8, 9 in some drafts if people just don't want a part of Cleveland. So I just wonder, like, I know why the reason that these guys are all Walmart DVD and Ben prices is because of the quarterback situation. But when has that ever really stopped us before? Is it a dark thought to be in on this Browns offense at cost?
I feel like kind of the consensus bottom 4 offenses that most of us would agree on: Dolphins, Browns, Jets, and Cardinals. Maybe the Titans are in there too if you want to do bottom 5. All those though, man. Cardinals, we got Jeremiah McBride going round 4. Jets, we got Garrett and Brees going top 4 rounds. Dolphins, we got Achane going at the 1-2 turn. The Browns don't have that. Like, Judkins is their most expensive dude, and he's going like round 5, round 6 usually.
Yeah,
and I'm more concerned with, it's just more so the dislocated ankle. Again, same thing with Scadaboo. It's like, okay, I know he's going to be out there week 1, but we just need to kind of think, all right, it's going to be 100% by week 1. So he's the only guy even somewhat expensive, though. So I think I'm with you here, man. Like, Kevin, we got to call him Kevin, right? Because it's Kevin Concepcion. Like, what are we
When's
doing?
the last time we had a good Kevin at the wide receiver position? Isn't that
Kevin
tough?
Austin was the first one. Kevin Ogletree. That's not good.
Oh, gosh. There's
that
not.
week one was fun, though.
We'll have to remember this one. Kevin White. God bless his soul. White. I know. Okay. So yeah, I like calling him Kevin Concepcion. That's got a ring to it. It's got some pop. When it comes
maybe
to
we shouldn't call him Kevin though.
Yeah, maybe not a good track record. I would love your take on this. So they basically completely had to rebuild the offensive line. And they're projected by a lot of outlets to be the worst or amongst the worst. But do you think there's opportunity there? Like, how do you feel about that front?
I think Kevin Dyson is probably the answer to our Kevin question.
God bless. I love that. So I love that.
God bless Kevin Dyson. The offensive line, again, it's like Houston and Cleveland every single year. They're like, well, we moved the parts around. And you're like, well, the parts still don't look very good. And they're like, we moved them around though. So they could be good. Brandon Thorne seems to know more about it than me. Shout out Establishing Run. He's gone 31st in the year. So I would think they're bad. But I'm thinking you lose that Myles Garrett guy in defense, Chuck, and maybe they're not going to be quite as good, all due respect to Jared Verse and some of the young guys they've got. So
course.
You know, I just hope we don't see Deshaun Watson for too long, because last time we saw that dude after the shoulder injuries, his arm strength looks shot. I think after not one, but two Achilles ruptures, we're not going to see the mobility. So get him out of there and at least give me Shador, man, who's going to chuck it downfield, or give me Taylon Green. Just make that, you know, some wild ass fantasy fever dream every week. So I like the talent there. I think that's the kind of main pointer. Concepcion, Boston, Fannin, and they're all going pretty much well outside the top 100 picks. Fannon's more so on the border. So again, it's one of those things where, do we want to invest in these bad offenses? No, but that certainly seems more priced into these guys than some of the more early round options I was bringing up earlier.
Sure.
Also had that stat about only the 14 running backs on bad offenses. There's been 12 wide receivers that hit that category, 20 tight ends though. And Fannin was one of them last year. So like tight ends has been the one position that we've seen overcome bad offensive environments. And honestly, it kind of makes sense. Like, you probably shouldn't be flowing your entire passing game through your tight end, but some teams have to. Browns, Cardinals last season, you know, things of that nature. So no, man, out of the, you know, dark thoughts, I think I agree with this one the most so far.
That means that we're in either the best mental headspace we could be going into the season, or the most delusional. Either way, I'm excited to see where that ends up going. Yeah, the Monken hire is interesting because clearly they've got this elite defense that the offense has not been able to keep pace in, which is why you bring in Monken, who's like, you know, he's going to give you some level of floor. He's done it everywhere he's been. So trying to buy into the vision a little bit. If they give Deshaun Watson a new contract, I am going up there with Morgan and Morgan. I'm picking them up on the way, and I'm heading up to Cleveland, and we're going to get this shit settled. I would not love that.
Bro, why would anyone give this guy a new contract? All right. If he magically gets back to looking like the guy he was 7 years ago, like that's what we're doing now.
So what's the best case scenario for him? He plays like 9 games. They're 5-4 or 6-3. He doesn't look bad, and then he gets hurt and he's out for the year. So then he gets a contract from somebody else who's banking on it. Like, that's got to be it, right?
He's going to have to like break his left elbow or something too. Like, it can't be something that's going to be, again, problematic for his throwing or mobility. His best times with the Browns though, he had that one like Cardinals game where he had some downfield throws to Cooper and stuff, but otherwise it would be like these, he'd start off like 13 for 14 for 95 yards. And he's just like picking up 4 or 5 yards per completion. Like, just the worst viewing experience you'll ever see. And, you know, he was awesome before. So maybe pigs will start flying or some shit. So real quick about the Monken thing. It's a good point. When did this happen where Todd Monken, who got the most out of Lamar Jackson by a good margin, passing efficiency wise? 2019 was amazing too, but then we saw kind of a lull from 2020 to 2022. And all of a sudden, Lamar threw for 40 plus touchdowns, over 4,000 yards in 2024. Like, Monken did so many good things. Last year, we all agree Lamar was playing through injury and stuff. It was Zay Flowers and nobody else. Mark Andrews looking washed. And like, we still had a passable offense. I mean, for the Ravens to still finish, you know, 16th in, you know, yards, 11th in points last season, given all those injuries happening, I think that's pretty impressive for Todd Monken. I'm a little worried, Chuck, that maybe this Ravens offense and yet another play caller who in August we assume is going to be great. Because, dude, some of these vibes, like, hey, do you know Declan Doyle knows what play action is, Chuck? And they're talking about taking snaps. They're going to take snaps under center, not in the shotgun, under center. All right.
Wow. Revolutionary.
And here I am like, well, Lamar is a year older, and I know the injuries impacted him last year, but I think it's reasonable to assume that the freakishly athletic, rushing, incredible quarterback, don't want to take anything away from him, maybe not going to age the best, man. And last year wasn't great. It wasn't a good step in the right direction. You know, the sacks were up as well. Like, it wasn't great. Okay, what did they do to really fix things for him? Well, we removed the play caller that helped him a ton, and we have some guy who got Ben Johnson some cups of coffee in Chicago. That's cool. So did Tanner Engstrand. How'd that work out for the Jets last year?
Correct. Thank you.
Mark Andrews has looked, for the most part, washed. You lost Charlie Kohler. You lost Isaiah Likely. Like, tight end's definitely not in a better spot. Maybe Andrews gets funneled targets and it works out in fantasy, but it's definitely like a weaker group. And then wide receiver, Jacoby Lane, training camp Hall of Famer, Jacoby Lane. I liked him a lot, Chuck. I liked him as a day 3 like projection. All right. The fact this dude is making crazy one-handed catches is exactly what he was doing all the time at USC. The issue is he can't really separate. Similar sentiment with Elijah Surratt. So I still am sick enough in the head, and I refuse to see my therapist anymore because she wouldn't, you know, just even fathom that Rashad Bateman could still do good things this year. We all seem to agree Zay Flowers isn't exactly this, you know, incredible number 1 worthy wide receiver. And Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry, but he's also 32, 33 freaking years old right now. So The O-line lost Linderbaum. Yeah, okay, they drafted the first-round rookie out of Penn State. Maybe he's going to be great. I just think they're for, again, another year. It needs to be Lamar putting on a Superman cape and doing everything, but everyone's a year older. We barely added any needle movers. The offensive line looks a little bit worse, and we're just hoping that this brand new play caller is going to be better than Todd freaking Monken.
We talked about what an offensive coordinator doing more with less looks like. This is who they brought in. And look, man, I'm not here to talk about looks. I'm not here to talk about swagger, aura, anything. Your offensive coordinator should not be smiling. He should not look like he's having a good time. He should not look like he has any light in his eyes. Offensive coordinators are supposed to look like they're pissed off that they don't have the players that can execute their scheme. And I'm not sure that they do in this Ravens offense. You talked about, hey, we finally got one of these out of Baltimore. It's been forever since we had one. Rashad Bateman, I'm moving all over the formation now. Once you hear that, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Get this, they're moving me around the formation.
Yeah, off the field is what he doesn't realize is where they're moving into.
Honey, I'm moving around the living room more. All right, I'm trying.
Don't you see? Oh, that's such a great one. Yeah, great tangent there. Todd Monken to bring that back. Since he's been in the NFL, between Tampa, Cleveland, and Baltimore, finishes on offense of 18, 9, 3, 22, 6, 1, and 16 last year. And that 2019 was the Freddie Kitchens Baker year. So I'm going to give him a little bit of slack for that. Pretty good OC. Pretty good guy. So that should be a lot of fun.
They picked it up. Dude, one of the craziest things last year was the Ravens having Cooper Rush unironically as Lamar's backup. And they actually went through with the bit for a couple of weeks until they were like, God, what are we doing here? So once they got, former Pro Bowl quarterback Tyler Snoop Huntley going there, man, it actually stepped up a little bit.
They did. They finally got their shit together. It's funny. That was the preseason joke that everybody got to make, and then it did come to fruition. All right. We're going to take a quick break here. And when we come back, you got another dark thought for us.
The original Player Profiler was just my podcasting tool that I made available to the public so that you could follow along and look up the stats while I'm looking them up and talking about them on the show. And then you're asking, well, I want to dominate my drafts. I want to know what you know about Josh Downs and Trey Harris and Jalen Coker. So that's why we have the world-famous draft kit. The key team insights, the player breakdowns, and the key stats that you need to know, like vacated targets, vacated touches, all there available to you with cheat sheets for every format and interactive drafting as you draft, the players fly off the board. And this year, for the first time, I am publishing my personal draft cheat sheet during draft season, as well as Bradley's. And when you sign up for the all-in package, you get $25 off with code PODFATHER. Code PODFATHER, $25 off. The world-famous draft kit is now live. It is ready. It is complete. So go grab it and dominate your drafts.
Don't you just love that he kicked that promo off with Josh Downs? That was such a perfect, we're just tying everything together here. We're all on the same page on Player Profiler and RotoWire. All right. What do you got for us?
Oh, my Ravens one doesn't count?
Oh, that counts? You want to? We can tag that.
How about this? Discuss a little bit with the Colts, but are we a little bit worried that the consensus number 2 overall fantasy pick might be playing on a dog shit offense?
You think the Lions are going to be bad?
Oh. Chuck Bass's number 1 overall pick might be playing in a bad offense. So look, they weren't great last year. I get it. I just, again, Kevin Stefanski, Tommy Rees, we're giving them a lot of credit for giving prime Nick Chubb the ball and having, Joe Flacco came off the bench for Watson and lit it up. Amari Cooper going nuts, in 2023. So that was a fun time and everything, but it's been several years, man. You got to start going back the Frank Reich days to be able to say Kevin Stefanski is this, great schemer and caller of plays. He hasn't even been doing it. It's been Tommy Rees over these last few years. Respectfully, you can say with all due respect and then say whatever you want. So with all due respect, we have a failed old Notre Dame scrub now leading NFL offenses to nothing. I don't think anyone watched the Browns over the last 2 years and was like, oh man, what a great, schematic, endeavor we just witnessed out here. So I know the offense has sucked, but now we have Michael Penix, who is coming off another knee injury and just, has been very inconsistent playing in the NFL. He's very good at throwing the ball at Drake London 20 times a game, which we do appreciate. And then Tua, bro. I am old enough to remember when Tua was good. 2022, 2023. What a time to be alive. But this dude doesn't want to get hit. I don't blame him. All right. I've had several concussions myself. I would not want to be taking anymore. So get the ball out of your hands as fast as possible. He now doesn't make good decisions. He doesn't really have especially post hip injury, he doesn't have the mobility or the arm talent to really stress defense. It's like, I'm struggling to think of like what Tua actually brings to an NFL offense. And again, is Bijan great or is Drake London great? Absolutely. Maybe that's enough, but I just worry we're going to be sitting here in like week 3 going, man, Falcons are implied for 15.5 points this week. Bijan, RB2 overall? Just saying.
It's funny. When we talked about Isaiah Pacheco at the top of the show, I had a note that said, can a 5'9", 195-pound running back handle 500 carries? That was my major concern here. I was looking through the top 5 finishes of the last like 5 years, and the one that's of RB finishes, and the one that sticks out the most to me is 2021 Najee Harris that was just dead and gone Steelers team when Big Ben was on his last leg.
Post elbow Big Ben, just checking it down nonstop. Dude, they were weren't they 10-0 or something? Like the worst 10-0 team ever?
And then they just ended up getting blasted, which is just so funny. They were the worst 10-0 team ever, but Najee Harris just scrapes together just an ugly RB3 finish. But we're talking about, we want guys who can potentially score 23 points, 22 points if you're taking them first overall. So I definitely hear you there. And the Tua stuff is really weird because Tua didn't check the ball down like crazy until he had Devon Achane. It just kind of wasn't, those Myles Gaskin years were not lighting up the score sheet. That Raheem Mostert year without Achane was not lighting up the score sheet. Now, obviously, he goes to Bijan, who you can check the fucking ball down to all day long. But I'm with you. And you brought up a really good point when you talked about this, because it's something I haven't heard anybody else talk about this year, is that this is an offensive coach and an offensive coordinator who got fired because their offenses sucked. The defense was not the problem in Cleveland. If you look at the guys that are in the NFL right now that are retread offensive coaches, they did not get fired because their offenses sucked. We're talking about Mike McCarthy, who had some great offenses in Dallas. You're talking about, where'd you go here? Jim Harbaugh, whose last tenure in the 49ers was not getting fired because of his offense. Andy Reid didn't get fired because of his offense. There's one more. Sean Payton did not get fired from the Saints because of his offense. There's several of those. Kevin Stefanski did, and that makes me nervous. He's got a lot of top-heavy stuff. The skill position players are great, but I feel you, man. How much better is he than Zach Robinson is what we're going to come down to.
I don't freaking know, man. So how did Tommy Rees get this job, bro? Because it's like Chip Kelly. He did good things at Alabama for a year, and then he just kind of gets lifted over the Browns where nothing good has happened. So the Zach Robinson thing, it's just still, we're like, well, he did hang out with Sean McVay a couple years ago, Chuck. Forget.
Well, how would you feel about this team if I guaranteed you that Michael Penix started and finished every game?
I would feel great about Drake London.
Yes.
And
that's about it.
And again, I don't think Bijan's going to be bad or anything. I'm still drafting him at 102. It's just dark thoughts. And I do think we should have some just semblance of like the Falcons could be a bottom 3 offense in the league scoring wise. Yeah. And we see this with the Jets, man. I don't think Bijan's better than Breece Hall, but like Breece consistently his finishes is like mid to low end RB2, because you look at the stats at the end of the year and he has like 3 carries inside the 5-yard line all season. So there's just these handful. Same thing with Devon Achane, bro. So like, we'll see, man. Not loving this though.
Are we keeping the candle lit for CMC's 2019 having Kyle Allen and Will Grier play 15 games? Is that what we're holding the candle for? Those are some ugly stats.
It happens, and I mentioned the 14. Of those 14 running backs, almost all of them, except for like Derrick Henry, they're catching 50-plus passes, which should be happening to Bijan. He can do stuff in the slot, not wide and everything. Yeah. Just there's going to be a lot of upset people online, Chuck, when we see the Falcons get inside the 5-yard line, and here comes Brian Robinson.
Oh, my God. Oh, dude.
Have you done the auction draft trick yet?
I have not. I have not played in a single auction yet this year. I've got one coming up next week, though, and that will be a dirty card. I just can't wait. Should we make it some sort of yearly like ticker of every time somebody tweets about when their fantasy app updates B.Robinson touchdown Atlanta? That's going to be
just keep it going. Take a shot every single time. Be dead by week 2.
All right. I'm going to invoke religion for my next one, if that's okay with you here.
Great. Love it.
The third round this year is for sinners. This is the hell round. We've got Rashee Rice, George Pickens, Josh Allen, who clearly had sex before marriage, Chris Olave, who did something wrong, or else he would not continue to suffer physically the way that he is. Malik Neighbors got that boo-boo. Josh Jacobs up to some bullshit. Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson, who have been forced to play for the Jets. Cam Skattebo, he's cruising for a bruising. And then Tetaroa McMillan, who has to play with Bryce Young. Is the Lord asking us to trade out of this round? Do you ever trade out of rounds and redraft? If the league allows it?
I kind of want to now that you just described that. Like, give me some extra round 4, round 5 ammo. I think everything he's described is why I've taken guys like Jalen Waddle, like Lab McConkey, and, even Emeka Buku, I'm a little bit lower on. I just moved them up ahead of those dudes, man. So doesn't it annoy you, Chuck, when we get these fantasy rankers who you're like, why do you have that guy ranked there? And the first thing out of their mouth is like, well, the ADP. Have some freaking balls, man. If you rank the guy high, my God, I was on Matt Waldman's podcast, and I came in thinking I was hot shit because he wanted to talk about Parker Washington. I was like, I got Parker up there, man. Wide receiver 29. He goes, I got him wide receiver 14. I have never felt so emasculated, Chuck. Matt Waldman just slapped me across the face, bro. You know what? I deserved it. So I appreciate that, man. And as much as I would love people to listen to every single thing I say on podcasts and all that. We got lives to theoretically go out there and live, Chuck. So maybe not you, but the other, people out there. So I feel like in your ranks, don't be afraid to make a couple of stands. I really want Jalen Waddle this year. So I'm going to rank him wide receiver 11, and it's on you to be in your draft and decide if you think you need to draft on wide receiver 11 or if you can get him closer to wide receiver 20. But no, man, you just named a lot of dudes and bad offenses. We got the amazing picture of training camp for Rashee Rice going off the field with the trainer with the police car in the background. So where are you at with Rice, bro? Because I've been getting so much pushback for fading this dude. I just how far down do you have to go in the wide receiver ranks to find someone that the Chiefs wouldn't immediately trade him for? I got the Quentin Johnson, but I still think it's close.
That's a great one. I am the kind of person who the feeling of fading Rashee Rice and he fails is going to quadruple the feeling of drafting Rashee Rice and he hits. It's not even going to be comparable. The negative pylon, and here's the picture that you're talking about. Let me get that guy, get him off my screen. I'm going to have this as my desktop at one point or another, because it really was like the 49ers have the substation, the Chiefs have this, the Eagles have Big Dom, and then the Patriots have Rossini, and I'm sure there's more out there, but it's just, you couldn't describe this guy's career. And look, I know that wide receivers, especially young ones, if they're healthy and they bounce back, they'll be fine. And I think Mahomes is going to be fine. I think the guys who are the best ever, when they come back, they're back. And he may not scramble as much as he did, but he's going to throw the fuck out of the ball, and he's going to catch the fuck out of the ball. I'm just rooting against him. I'm rooting against him hard. And so I'm glad you brought this up. And to kind of for anyone out there who's like, okay, but you're talking about 1 year for the third round here. The third round last year, if you're doing PPR, Bucky Irving, Lad McConkey, Jaden Daniels, Tyreek Hill, Joe Burrow, Omarion Hampton, Alvin Kamara, Brees Hall. We're talking, the Lord hates third round draft picks. I'm telling you.
My God, dude. So the one guy who has snuck in, I'm warming up to Javonte Williams in round 3. That's how sad it is, man. I see Javonte in round 3. I'm like, hold on, this is good. So maybe it's just Josh Allen. I hear you. He has had sex, so we do need to think about
that guy is at it.
Impact things, but it does seem like a lot more. It's well, this guy could be anything. It could even be, just Josh Allen. So maybe we just take Josh Allen.
Yeah, people are going to be like, okay, well, I guess you're not going to mention that James Cook and JSN also went in that round last year. But you know what? There's always one or two, and those are angels. All right, do you have? What are we looking at here? We're looking at. We're almost at 40 minutes here. I've got 2 more, but the way we're going right now, maybe we do 1 more each and we put a nice little bow on this bad boy.
Yeah, that works for me. I'll go with the Giants could just be 32nd in scoring. Everyone sucks. I mean, Chuck, we're talking. Let's get these pictures up here.
God.
Dude, it's not just Matt Nagy. Everyone realizes that, I think. All right. Matt Nagy, offensive coordinator. That's dreadful. I could probably just end it right there. Their passing game coordinator and QB coach is Brian Callahan. Nightmare fuel. We literally took Brian Dable and took him to Tennessee, and now Cam Ward just can't stop talking about how great it is to have a coach who wants to watch film and all this. And we took that guy and brought him back to New York to now work with Jackson Dart, who I like, man, in terms of what he could do off script and everything. But
Brian Callahan has shepherded some of the worst passing offenses I have ever seen in my life, and he's the passing game coordinator for this team.
Every time I do those, you mentioned the true media charts. I do like, I look at motion and play action, all these, quote unquote easy buttons and stuff. And it's always last year in the first 2 months, it was always Zach Taylor's Bengals and Brian Callahan's Titans, just in the bottom left corner where you do not want to be. And, I don't think there's healthy Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow exactly walking through either of those doors.
It is not the case. And they're like, the quotes coming out, make your eyes roll out of the back of your head. Like, we're going to try and use Jackson Dart like second year Lamar Jackson. It's like, okay, all right, let's settle down a little bit. You got Matt Nagy, who not only produced some of the worst seasons of Patrick Mahomes' career, but his offenses have finished 21st, 20th, and 20th prior to the Mahomes. And now you're bringing in and look, they have like spot pieces that I like. We love this 2-year career that Scadaboo's going to have. We love that Jackson Dart runs the ball. We know how good Malik Neighbors is. But man, otherwise, it's just, what is the floor and the ceiling to this offense remain a mystery to me. And you're not getting either one of the stars at a cheap price. You're actually not getting the quarterback at a cheap price either in a lot of these drafts.
Even Greg Roman, man, is he really this incredible run game mind, or was he just one of the few coaches willing to play a dual threat quarterback? We had the Kaepernick years, we had Tyrod and Shady McCoy doing good things for the Bills. Then we had Lamar freaking Jackson, and then the Chargers were okay over these past 2 seasons. But again, I just tend to give a little more credit to the Jims and Joes than some of his X's and O's out there. So, and then on top of that, it's like, all right, maybe, and to Dart's credit, man, no Neighbors last year. Scadaboo was out quickly. And the fact they didn't completely fall apart, I think is a big testament to Dart, but they didn't bring back Wandale. So now we're talking about everyone's least favorite day 2 wide receiver, I should say, Malachi Fields, Darnell Mooney, Darius Slayton. I like Isaiah Likely, but is he really going to be your number 2 pass game option? So we hope Neighbors and Scadaboo are going to be back to full health. I think it's reasons to be a little bit skeptical of that. So, and unlike some of the, you mentioned the Browns. I thought it was a good point. Like, these guys at cost are fine. We aren't, I think, and I mentioned it too, Jets and Cardinals, I think, and Dolphins, I think we're all very much aware that they can suck. But the Falcons, the Colts, and the Giants are these 3 that I'm like, are we really so sure they're that much different? Because we got some dudes at the top of drafts, man, that, again, I think there should be a little bit more concern out than maybe there is.
The Greg Roman offenses, and while they have not always had the most talented running backs, he has not had a running back catch have more than 33 targets in his last 3 seasons. Now, granted, some of those guys are J.K. Dobbins, who didn't play a full season, Omari Hampton, who didn't play a full season last year. And then, God, this one's great. Do you know who the leading running back in targets was on the Ravens in 2023?
Was Justice Hill hurt? Was he out there?
Justice Hill was a little hurt. He didn't play that many games. Kenyon Drake had 26 targets, 89 receiving yards, and a touchdown. It just hasn't been a big feature of his offense, and they have a guy who is one of the best pass catchers at the position in the league in Cam Scadaboo. So can they even maximize him? I'm not sure. It definitely makes me really, really nervous. They could be a gross watch this year, and I'm with you.
And it's one of those things too, man, where we can't be surprised. I don't want to hear anyone's complaints in week 9 going, oh, how'd this happen? It's because their top 2 playmakers are coming back from devastating injuries, and their offensive brain trust is a laughing stock. Good luck, Jackson.
Good luck. We're all rooting for you. What's funny is I brought up, you know what? I had another one in here that was a dark thought that maybe we didn't get to, or did we get? Oh, no, it's my last one. So perfect. I can tie it in right there with you. I want something really bad to happen this year. And that's a really open-ended statement, and I really have to clarify it. But I have to tell you this, Ian, here's just the drama that we've had since the Super Bowl, basically, all right? Let me make sure I get this here in order. We had the Rossini scandal. We had a new Puka story every week. We had his Diggs choking his chef, the Brendan Sorsby thing, Jackson Dart introducing the president and all that controversy, the Matt Miller scandal, the 49ers substation, the Shanahan car accident cover-up, Brandon Ayuk, CTE influencer, Jonah Hill, and then Breece Hall spending all summer tweeting about Disney original movies. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want anybody to do anything illegal or any crime, but my brain has become used to like a certain level of content dopamine that only these NFL stories can produce. The NBA in back-to-back weeks had Kawhi Leonard's under the table money from ownership, a literal gambling scandal involving players and coaches. A month later, LeBron goes to Philly, and you know what got more media attention than all of those? Tony Romo's DUI. The NFL is the king of content, and it always will be. And the question is, who's next? Who's going to be next? It's my dark thought.
Just, first of all, bravo. I don't know if you even have a dark thought in there. Just hyping up off-season NFL storylines.
I was trying to go back and look. Like, there wasn't really a whole lot that happened during the season last year. It was mainly like, injuries or, coaches getting fired. There wasn't a lot of like, I guess you call that juicy gossip like we got in the offseason. And maybe that's what the offseason is for, right? We're bored. We look at stories a little bit more than we typically would because we don't have that football itch to scratch. But somebody, somewhere, something, we're going to get a gift from the content gods. And I want it to happen.
Who would be the funniest, like, kind of squeaky clean media personality to have some like massive scandal come? And why is it JJ Watt?
Oh God, it has got to be. You know what? It's got to be an analyst because the analysts are the ones that are taking all the heat right now. JJ Watt would be a great one. Right after he got the gig too.
Just can't think of a single bad thing that dude has ever done. But like, that's what would make it perfect, Yeah,
universally beloved. It would have to be like, if it's not him, it'd have to be like Mike Tomlin, who just joined the NBC desk. Mike Tirico would be a bombshell. If it came out that Mike Tirico owed like $2 million in gambling debts or something like that.
He's got some skeletons, bro, in that closet. Go check out Wikipedia. Real quick, you mentioned Matt Miller. How's he come back from this? Because I feel like the playbook is to come back and announce some like big donation to charity, but I don't think he can play that card for obvious reasons.
No, he's running the ultimate deny. That's a tricky one. And you're right. I don't think he does come back. I think that it's he announces he's writing a book. Or somebody else is writing a book for him. Yes, we always get.
I mean, man, I think it's done. Crazy,
yeah,
but shouldn't have done that.
There's a lot of there's not a lot of squeaky clean guys left. I mean, like if Joy Taylor's doing stuff, then who else has a shot?
Who else has a shot? Maybe we just gotta get Chuck Bass involved. Hey, ESPN, you need a new college football draft lead. Hit up my guy Chuck Bass.
Please, I would love to work for one day and then eventually get terminated. My favorite is like I have people follow me and then they unfollow. Like I'll have big names follow me and unfollow me 24 hours later, and I'm always like, I wonder which post it was. I wonder which post that was that got them off. Although I will say the best thing that ever happened for my Twitter career was likes becoming private. Once they made likes private, it was like, oh, here they come. They're in now.
Likes being private was great, but it's one thing that's opened my eyes when they start showing. You look up something, you see tweets from people who have blocked you, because before it was like you're blocked, you never know. Now it's like, oh, that's funny. Why'd that person block me at some point? I was in a fantasy draft, 20 rounds, 14 teams. So like you're looking at scrubs at the end, and I was like, let me check out this Jets RB competition. Anything going on with Braylon Allen? And I just see immediately that Braylon Allen has me blocked. I was like, well, I'm not going to draft some dude that has me blocked now. So like that answers my question right there. But then I'm looking up and I'm like, well, what did I even say about Braylon Allen to get him to block me in the first place? So I don't know. I understand, Chuck. We are not for everyone out there. So you know what? Let's just ignore the critics and try to, embrace those who do see our very fucked up worldview.
And you know what? It's helpful. It's helpful to get people through the day. And we got a great comment here that we can get us out with because it's perfect. He says, we learned that Mendoza is not squeaky clean. Well, guys, the problem here is that we already know that Mendoza might not be squeaky clean here. Let me get the banner off the screen so we can see this. He commented, you need to explain the context of the first photo of the cop of the man because you never know what he did wrong. So he was an untimely post from Fernando Mendoza from back in 2020. So that's a tricky one. So we'll keep an eye out there. We'll have that one ready in the chamber for when the hammer falls. Does that sound good?
Chuck, are you attending Colin Kaepernick's hour-long special in Chicago?
Chicago. I'm having dinner with Lori Lightfoot that night, so unfortunately I will not be able to make it. Oh gosh, Ian, it's one of my favorite shows, if not my favorite show I do all year, man. Thank you so much. Why don't you tell the good people what you have going on, where they can find you, and all the good stuff?
You're the GOAT, Chuck. My pleasure, my brother. Yeah, guys, fantasy football with Ian Hartitz on the old YouTube streets. Got some goodness going on. RotoWire ranks, articles, tools, all that jazz. So you guys try to get just a little bit smarter, have a little bit of fun. Go check me out there. But yeah, man, much love to the whole player profile gang. Obviously, Matt Kelly really did give me my first more mainstream, bigger podcast opportunity back in the day. So love seeing everything that you guys are doing over here, man.
Awesome. And you guys have a very loving the Dodgers vibe you guys have over at RotoWire with you and Yaggart and Theo and everybody just crushing it, man. You guys are doing a lot of great work.
Thank you, brother. I hate the Dodgers. I haven't getting back into baseball because they finally just made the MLB TV. You can pay $100 and watch your game, so I can get back to being a more consistent. I don't even want. Yeah, Cleveland Guardians. We haven't won World Series, but I will say for a team that consistently spends so little, the fact they stay so competitive is kind of cool and impressive. But my God, man, I'm just tired of these Dodgers, dude. I'm tired of it, Chuck. It's not even like because it's not like the Rams in football. Super teams don't really work in football, but my God, man. I just don't like it.
No, I get it. I'm a Rays fan where we're like this cute, like every season is Moneyball for us, and then we just get bounced first year of the playoffs. So I'll be happy for that very first Australian football game between the Rams and the 49ers, and we can pretend nothing else exists.
So close. So close.
All right. Appreciate it, my friend. You guys take it easy out there. We'll catch you later.
Ooh, trade just came in on my phone. Let's see. Should I make it? I don't know. I want to make a move now, though. I don't want to wait to get back to my computer. What do I do? Oh, we have the Dynasty Dominator app that scores a trade based on our lifetime value rating at playerprofiler.com. We also give you just a price lookup tool with the ADP to say, what is this guy really worth? And the app has a player comparison tool to juxtapose the advanced metrics of two players. This is $5 in the App Store. That's it. So we want you to do deep research on playerprofiler.com, but we also want you to be able to make moves in the moment. So go get that Dynasty Dominator now. It's in the App Store. It's on Google Play. And you can thank me later.